Hi, so this is going to be just a kind of old school reading. I'm going to bring back some of the cards that I used to use, and I don't know, we'll see what happens. So, the planetary cards, see what, and you can check this and see if any of the planets are um, in your chart that come up, and what's going on in the sky right now. So let's see. In Cancer, Aquarius is on the bottom and they're opposites. So it's kind of like the summer and winter. I might just sort of go through the cards, pull some, and then go back and talk about them. We'll see. Kind of play it by ear. Okay, so Cancer in what sign? Cancer in what sign? In Venus. Pluto's on the bottom. Let's see. Okay, so Cancer and Venus in which house? What area of life? Still so dark in here in the 12th house. Ninth house also kind of wanted to come out. And on the bottom is the first house. So, the first house is about your personality and really what you give off to people, the vibe, how they take you in, how they feel your presence. I always try to think of ways to talk about these things without all the cheesy astrological sort of verbs, but whatever. Anyways, let's pull some from the Thoth deck. Cancer is a cardinal sign too. Maybe it's about nurturing, taking care of people, because Cancer is very protective, very very feeling, very intuitive sign, and are kind of like to look after people and make sure everyone's okay. So with Venus, it's probably something having to do with love or how you talk about creation, creativity, and all that. So let's see. One foundational card for this reading for the highest and greatest good of all. The Six of Wands. Some sort of successful endeavor, coming home, feeling like you've achieved something. This also wanted to come out. This is the Chariot. So both of these are about, this says victory, and the Chariot talks about winning some kind of battle or some sort of victory. So between both these cards, probably something having to do with maybe winning your case or just feeling victorious for whatever it is you're working on, maybe getting a good grade on something or making a good presentation. But the Chariot is associated with Cancer and is ruled by the moon, so the moon having something to do maybe in the Six of Wands. And this says it is Jupiter in Leo. So both of those are very expansive, outgoing, confident characteristics, energies, personality types. yeah, I just noticed that the wheels and the rods going, making up the wheel that kind of resemble this. So maybe something having to do with wheels, maybe getting the wheels turning in motion, but also like just on a more mundane level, maybe just making sure your car and things like that are up to date. The Five of Pentacles is on the bottom. So it could have been in the past where you felt maybe, see, the Five of Pentacles has its traditional meaning of feeling like left out, maybe a three-person situation in a relationship, or just, you know, not missing an opportunity to get what you need. But it has come up for so many other things as well. I won't spend too much time on it since it was the bottom card, but it can mean like taking the lead, following someone's footsteps, catching up to someone, walking outside in the snow, leaving a trail of footprints, because usually there's like footprints in the snow. This is just more some, you know, has all the different little signs in there, shapes, moon and circle, triangle, square. So some sort of change, maybe some sort of change that maybe prompted or led to this success. 13 though, and again, the Chariot can have anything to do with like military, officers, anyone from a person you see driving down the street in a car to some more, someone who, like I said, is in like the military, or someone in like a police officer. Like I said that. So also maybe something at a cross section. Maybe you're pulling up to some sort of big intersection, or, this is some like Grand Central Station or something. I always think of that because all of the different ways that you can go, and maybe that's what you're trying to figure out, which way to go, which route to take, which train to take. This wheel is spinning here too, something in motion, and you could just be feeling like you're being supported or cheered on by friends, relatives, family, boyfriend, girlfriend. But so usually these readings, at least for me, and they apply on so many different levels, but at least for me, they're really literal. And so this would probably come up for just pulling up to an intersection, maybe seeing someone at an intersection like I did tonight, who I just pulled up to the intersection. I looked over and was like at a red light, and I looked over and someone was turning, going the opposite way, and they just like gave me the finger. I don't know. People are mean to me. Yeah. So that was weird, but U13 reducing down to 4 too, and again, that's just sort of, both these talk about balance and probably some sort of discipline or some sort of work that had to go into whatever it is you're doing in order to achieve this victory. Anything else from this deck? The Ten of Swords, cruelty, or the Nine of Swords, Mars in Gemini. So you don't always have to go by, because this is its own deck. The Nine of Swords can just, actually, when I was walking in here, I noticed that a card from another deck had fallen out, and It was the Nine of Swords, so maybe that's important. It's like being up all night with your thoughts sometimes. I don't really feel like that's what that is. I feel like it's like piercing some sort of perforate or like fractured, I don't know what. So then again, if it's not, just having a long night, it is, or just not being able to sleep and having a headache, having a lot on your mind. If it's not that, then it could be reading between the lines. Something having to do with your thoughts too, reading layers, levels. There's out of Princess and the Pea. Why I always think of all these like Disney movies, but just out of the sun its side and like the different layers of mattresses. Maybe that means something to someone. But Mars and Gemini, so it's being, maybe compartmental, being very assertive and a little bit more taking the initiative, or again, like taking the lead, that brings about this sort of happy ending. But because Mars is an aggressive, confident energy, so again, maybe you just need to like step it up and with whatever it is you're doing. And well, the 10 of Wands on the bottom. So that's like crossing the finish line, being done with something. You usually get a ton from these cards that don't have like, maybe just feeling like guilty about something, or a little overburdened, like you have like the weight of the world on your shoulders. It can talk about experience though, so maybe just bringing in all the experience that you have, bringing it together to make something go ahead. Let's pull from Archangel Oracle card. Let's just, did I hit? Spiritual understanding just flew out. Archangel Raziel, I am bringing you esoteric information and symbols and helping you understand spiritual truths. So maybe I should pay attention more to these cards that don't have like, so how everything is like interconnected. Spiritual wisdom, knowledge. Think of, again, with Jupiter, and maybe the 9th house is what it was talking about, which talks about long distance travel or education, learning, spirituality, religion. So maybe delving into those things more, so finding out something important or meaningful to you. Let's see what's on the bottom. Overcoming difficulties. So yeah, maybe that like 5, that change of Pentacles was talking about something in the past or something you're going through now. I always want to remember this one quote and I can never. But something having to do with pain and struggle and things like that. And but it's a specific word because it actually means undergoing. So something good to tell yourself if you're going through something that right now you're just undergoing a change and overcoming difficulties. Archangel Jeremiel, the worst is now behind you and you're surmounting any previous challenges. Think of like getting your car, mounting your horse. This has some sort of huge feather. And this is what you have to look forward to, and spiritual understanding. And since it says bringing you spiritual understanding, I think of Apollo and mythology and how he, especially a chariot and riding through spiritual wavelengths or something to deliver messages, and that's kind of how I think of it. I don't really think of like things being around me or like ghosts or anything like that. I kind of always feel like it's like the Three of Pentacles, like the guy that's holding a little thing out. I always think he's like, looks like he's holding something to his ear and listening to the other side. So that's kind of what it seems like. It's like some sort of like tunnel phone and messages going through electricity through wavelengths and things reaching you. And I actually, I don't know where it is, but I started this one little experiment taking one of these little blocks and, or I had two actually, and I just put a dot on one side of each, and I rolled them each together 20 or 21 times, and did that every night for a week to see, just curious, it's like, what are you curious about? What do you want to know more about? I think of the death video in this playlist. I'm a little curious too. But so when I threw them, I recorded how many times and which block it was that flipped up with the little blue dot. I called it pale blue dot experiment. And I don't know if this is interesting to people, but because I wanted to see if what it was that was like, I'm trying to like throw it the same way each time, or and just ask different questions. What I found was when I was in my head thinking about, well, first I'll explain what happened. So you throw them and you record, and so it's like 2 blank spaces 20 times, and the right one is one block, the left one is the other block, and each one has a dot, and so when the dot flips up, you record which one it is with a little X, and what I found was that each time it made this spiral, and like connecting the X's kind of looked like DNA, and they were, different each time, but they all spiraled. And what I found what was really interesting was when I was in my head asking or thinking about something and I threw the dice or the block, the blue dot would always pop up on the left side, or is the left blank space. This is probably not making sense. I need a visual. But, and when I asked a question and it was coming back to me, it would always pop up on the right side, the right blank space, like that, so I don't know. Just always coming up with different experiments and things to try. I imagine like invisible waves, like affecting those are airwaves, wavelengths, whatever. But my imaginary version is like these like invisible waves that are affecting the way that the blocks fall. That, anyways, I don't know how I got on that subject. Spiritual understanding and something I was talking about. I've completely lost my train of thought. But maybe just seeing how things connect. Patterns and noticing patterns, and the 9th house too, spiritual understanding, testing your spiritual understanding in a way like that, like coming up with experiments or coming up with something different to try that brings you either mentally or physically to a different place of, a possibility. Like, because now I'm thinking about, oh, what does it mean that all the blocks, came up like that? And I'm like, oh, I can turn this into a game, and I made other ones, and I just thought it was kind of clever with the pale blue dot. But anyways, but yeah, increasing your spiritual understanding, ninth house type things. And Apollo, that's what I was talking about. Apollo bringing messages, delivering information, knowledge. And with that, I am bringing you esoteric information. So let's see what else there is for us. This Art of Life Tarot. Seven of Pentacles. So another seven. With time and patience, the mulberry leaf becomes a silk gown. Chinese proverb. This is the Empress of China, culling mulberry leaves. Bernard Road in 1773, Berlin, Germany. This is thinking things over, waiting time, patience. It's usually some sort of farmer person that's like sowed his crop, and now he's waiting to. It's kind of like wondering, though, also on a more like, are you wasting your time with something, or knowing that if you put enough time and effort into it, that it will be fruitful. It popped up upright, so usually I just think of it as like taking a step back and evaluating things, review. Picking something out also. Sometimes it comes out for, like if you were to be going to get someone flowers or something, like it's popped up before when I went to like go get my mom flowers, like because you're like picking something out, and it has something to do with earth. So and sevens are the road, especially the Chariots, like the road to truth. It's, you're on your way, or we're on our way right now. So to spiritual understanding, perhaps, and feeling elated, feeling like you just kind of want to take it all in, maybe, understand it better, taking the big picture. I mean, China's important. I don't know, I'm not getting a ton from that card, so I'm going to pull some more. Ace of Cups is on the bottom. If you're thinking about what to say, what you really like, what you really want, what really makes you feel good, and which route to take, and all these kinds of things. But I kind of feel like there's been some sort of decision already made, or some sort of change has already happened, whether you're aware of it or not, like with the Five of Discs. I don't know, see, this is, when I saw you, I fell in love, and you smiled because you knew William Shakespeare. And The Swing by Jean-Honoré Fragonard, Versailles, France. So this is like, maybe this is where you're going. Maybe you're going to get a drink. This is cups, it could literally be water. But anything that just makes you feel happy, content. Maybe there's something having to do with outdoor playground or swings and just feeling young again. Like there's a park by on my way home from, I mean, this is years ago, but from the street that we used to go out on, and we'd always break into the park and, like 4 in the morning and play on the swings and just be idiots. Everyone's an idiot when they're 20s. Okay, and the Ace of Pentacles is under that, but I'm going to keep going. What else? Further clarity on the Seven of Pentacles. What needs valuation? What would be helpful to know? Six of Wands again. So this must be really important if it came out in 2 different decks. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So Samuel Coleridge. And The Football Players by Henry Rousseau, 1908. Guggenheim, New York. So again, same thing. I mean, maybe it has something to do with winning some sort of game also. Like maybe your team won, or yeah. It might have something to do with the game. Maybe some sort of, maybe you're playing the field or something like that. With the Ace of Cups, but it's interesting, like with the Seven of Pentacles, which came out first, and the Ace of Cups on the bottom. So this is kind of like the foundation or the reason for the Seven of Pentacles, and maybe someone made like a nice offer or a nice gesture. Can't say that. And you've thought about it, and maybe you've decided you want to play the field, or that might apply to some of you. Others, it could just mean that you feel like really great, victorious, like it says, with whatever has been said, or whatever, Ace of Cups represents to you, whatever it's been for you. Well, it's, 7 and 6 popped out before, and 7 and 6 popped out here. The other cards of Ace of Cups and the spiritual understanding, really. So, Ace of Cups, the first, it's beginning of the water suit, kind of like Cancer as well. The first house, maybe something having to do with your ascendant or rising sign. Five of Cups. That's so weird. 5 of Cups. A little different from the 5 of Pentacles. Again, just sort of like, at least with this card, evaluating, thinking about something, maybe daydreaming. Usually this means that you need to like turn around and see things in a different way, different perspective, that there's still hope. Whatever it was that you were hoping for, that some things have been lost, but there's still like usually 2 full cups behind her that she's not noticing. It's like focusing on crying over spilled milk sometimes, but again, any maybe we got what, 2 5s, 2 changes to change. Better by far you should forget and smile than you should remember and be sad. Christina Rossetti. Caller Heron by Sir John Everett Millay, 19th century private collection. Just like a lot of like standing around thinking, maybe thinking about, your a past love or something, or the beginning of love, daydreaming about how things are going to get off the ground, start, how it's going to work out, something like that. Maybe you're looking for some sort of sign or understanding of what you need to do or how to go about it. Maybe it's just very simple. I mean, this is kind of simple. Ace of Cups. I mean, with everything from the Holy Grail to just a drink. So it could just be like maybe you're overthinking it. Sometimes the Seven of Pentacles can mean overthinking something, like you're just taking too much time, evaluating, wondering, what if, all those kinds of things. So maybe you just need to get on with it, because this is what is what you have waiting for you. And the Queen of Swords is on the bottom. Just going to pull one more from this deck. The Page of Pentacles. Dennis Diderot, the first step towards philosophy is incredulity. The Temptation of Saint Anthony, by a detail by a follower of, Hieronymus Bosch, Netherlands. I think like Dutch still life paintings and by follower. I did mention that, like taking a lead, following, catching up to someone. Follower again here, so maybe it's about following in someone's footsteps, or maybe like some sort of follower on like social media. Maybe you just can't believe something and you're just taking some time to think about it. But don't overthink it. And the Knight of Pentacles is on the bottom. And Temperance. The unlike is joined together, and from differences result the most beautiful harmony, which is kind of like the Chariot, like bringing two things together. This is Woman Washing Her Feet in a Brook by Camille Pissarro, 1894, Indianapolis Museum of Art, USA. There's just like a lot of lounging and just kind of thinking, contemplating, thought experiments, like the time it takes to actually think of a new idea, to think of to think of something different, to think of how things work, to think about new ways of doing something, to ponder, to create, to mix and blend and come up with something new. But really, I just think of, like Einstein did that all the time, thought experiments. Like, normally, like, inspiration and those kinds of profound ideas don't just, like, hit you sometimes, but most of the time you have to, like, sit and think and think and think and think and just take time for yourself. And I think it can be a little bit hard to then get out of that mindset. But maybe that's what it's talking about, bringing two things together, bringing maybe people in to brainstorm or something like that. But it's 14 Temperance and the Knight of Pentacles, so maybe Virgo. And I think the moon is in Virgo, or it was last night in the first house, or I don't remember. So, maybe I'm saying that because of that first house. So, 12, 2. Let's see, what else should I pull from? Let's pull from the Pixie Normand deck. It's still so dark in here. What else do people need to know, or to bring all this together? Sign or wisdom for those out there watching. Lady that popped up in the last reading was on the bottom, so I don't know. I'm going to pull some more. Scythe. Riders on the bottom. Oh my god. It was the it was the fish, but the fox maybe. 9 of Pentacles. And the Scythe Jack, or it's number 10, and it's not good. And I know that doesn't really and this is 14 Fox, so maybe usually this like cuts into whatever's on the second card. Fox could be being a little bit sneaky. I'll read from the book though. Oh no, I just lost the card. Read from the book. There it is. Well, the fox is negative. Clever, con artist, crafty, cunning, deceitful, detective, spy, dishonest, employer, smart, fraud, intelligent, hunting, prankster, quick-witted, resourceful, shifty, shrewd, sly, theft, trap, treachery, trickery, witty, troublemaker, unconventional, undercover. So, I don't know, not all of those are bad. So, the fox is primarily a card about your 9-to-5 job. It relates to company job rather than freelance or self-employment. For the next workplace promotion or business opportunity, being sly like a fox can be both good and bad depending on if you are the fox or not. When this card is a person in a reading, it is one of dubious character or one who is on the lookout for his own best interests over yours. This is a person to watch out for, not to be trusted. So it can be a warning about going into a situation, not being too trusting until you know that you can trust someone. And to the left, it can also describe a person more in an adjective sense. It can also be about danger close by. An example can be the fox plus home, illustrating a deceitful family member. That's not to say that the fox is only about people. It can also mean that you are not working from home, that you are now working from home. Timing, usually in about 2 weeks, 14 days, and 14 came up in the other deck too. The middle of the month, around the 14th. This is one of the cards they refer to as Sinister 7. So I think of like 7 deadly sins, vices. Again, 7 came up twice. The Chariot and 7 of Pentacles. The bulk of the idea is pulled from the Moon card, which is number 18, and Strength card and the World card. I should probably just show it to you. Sky is easy to spot from the Five of Swords. All those other fives came up, which is referencing treachery. So, but again, these are just like starting points to, just keep saying it's so literal usually. Like, this could be talking about Fox News, or just, someone who, like Megan Fox, someone who's a fox, like, it doesn't have to always be someone who's like super treacherous, but lots of people out there and can apply in a lot of different ways, so just try to keep an open mind. Let's see, where is it? The sky is about accidents, aggression, maybe having to do that Mars energy, cruelty, which came up in the Nine of Swords, cutting, danger, sharp, cutting, hostile, harvest, which also could have something to do with the Seven of Pentacles. Sometimes it's like harvest time, like I mentioned, farmers, and pain, sudden separation, toothache. And the Strength card was referencing for that can mean you need to go to the dentist. Once again, part of the Sinister Seven. Card of warning and danger. As with the Clouds card, you need to pay attention to the orientation of the sky and notice which way is cutting. Caution's needed, but things aren't super dire. And whatever comes next means that it's like dangerous past. So, for a relationship, it may mean that a relationship is coming to an end. Career, danger of layoffs, pay cut, loss of joy, security. Sometimes an abrasive person. Timing, fall, October, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So, I don't know, maybe that's important to you. Keep these cards out. Just pulled Mountain by accident. From this card. King of Cups again. So, another water sign. Maybe it's Cancer, or just someone who's feeling emotional about something. The Nine of Wands. Lots of like 9s, 10s, 5s, 7s, 6s. So yeah, this is like kind of wondering what's next. I always think he looks like kind of paranoid, which is why I have like, can you read my mind there? But it also has something to do with one more step, one more, it's like 8 battles in the background that he's fought, and this next one he's just wondering when the next one is about to come. He's like kind of ready to be done. But again, I think of the 9th house too. Fall was mentioned. Six of Pentacles on the bottom. I was always think of this as like a restaurant. And giving what others need, sharing, kind of moderating too. Management might be important. Mention layoffs. This is Moon in Taurus. Moon came up a bunch, so it's staying grounded, even though you know the Moon rules emotions. It's still being able to stay really level, I guess. Just like the scales from the Justice card. So maybe you're kind of trying to balance how much you give that and how much you give that, or between two people, maybe your time split up. It could mean, though, just receiving a really great payout, or just like blessings and things that you've really needed or wanted for a long time being given to you. It goes both ways, kind of depending. You may need to ask for something. You may need to ask for promotion or ask for what you need from whomever. But it could also mean, if you are in the position to give and to donate, like I said, I always think of like a restaurant, giving out food, and maybe there's one person or one thing in your life that's feeling a bit neglected, like all of your time or attention is going to this area of your life. But I also think of it as like keeping a balance between fire and water. If you are someone who has that sort of dichotomy. Some sort of Page of Pentacles also sometimes means like heads up. Like heads up. Maybe fox, sky. Anything else? Okay, 6. Cool. Really important, I guess. And the Star. Both, are like, this is more inspiration. It's source. It's a source of inspiration. It's refueling. It's again, taking care of the earth and the water kind of aspects of yourself, your emotional needs, your physical needs, maybe getting exactly what you've been wanting, whatever that is. I mean, it could be something like a new creative spark or idea, but it could also just be like, even though this isn't typically the wish card, I just keep wanting to say, getting your wish. You're getting something that you need, something that you've been longing for, something like just really desiring. And it's number 17. I always also think of this as the 6th house, so maybe that's important to you, is your everyday life, maybe just every day, just being or receiving inspiration or something, hope too. Maybe you just gave someone some false hope with the fox or the scythe. Maybe it's some sort of I don't know, just kind of wondering what's next. Maybe you're hoping that things do work out, and someone was just trying to give you like a heads up about something, or give you some information that you needed. Maybe you're I also think of like newscasters and people like that, people just in the, having to monitor things, and Maybe you're receiving information directly from source. Maybe we're receiving information directly from source right now. But what stands out to me between the two cards is like the just the things in the sky, and the patterns that they make up. I mentioned shapes before, so again, maybe connecting the dots, or she just looks so happy, like pouring out her water jugs, and again, content. There's all this. It looks a lot like the Temperance card from the Art of Life by the water. I also think of like Alice in Wonderland, which is in some of the playlists, like some clip. I also think of Narcissus, because looking at your reflection, maybe someone sees you as a bit narcissistic, or said that, the fox and the scythe, but there's, that's just a personal sort of relating. It has nothing to do with the actual meaning of this card. So just is like some sort of dreamscape. I just keep wanting to say something, but so let's pull from Oracle of Visions. Maybe you are the inspiration. You inspired something that is now successful, but again, this could be speaking to two different groups of people too, or just a ton of different people, because I wanted to say maybe something was successful, but there's some sort of turmoil or something that was the reason for it. So that's hope, it's inspiration, but it came from something that was difficult, maybe with all the change and the fives. So maybe if it's being put into use, it feels like it's keeping you up at night with worry, or it's you feel like it's not good, that it's sort of a betrayal or something. But that could be a very specific thing. I don't know. Let's pull and see if this can summarize this general part of the reading, and then I'm going to do another love reading, and I forgot to mention that this is for the weekend, for Friday through Sunday. So I thought I would do kind of like a big general reading, and kind of felt like it. So he was just talking about what drives you, what motivates you, what inspires you. Where do you get your source information from? Where do you find hope? Who brings hope to you? Who brings hope, light, spirituality, contentment, inspiration, what you need, who does that for you, or what does that for you. 39. And the bottom is 22. Old projector. Um, that's actually another card in the deck. She's sending out a letter. Maybe you're projecting things a bit. I don't know. But that's on the bottom. We'll go with the one that popped out, which is 39. Offering comfort, healing, caring. So that's that. Dove feather headdress. In the arms, the quote is, "In the arms of the angel, fly away from here. You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of an angel. May you find some comfort here." So, Lachlan. For a broken wing or a broken spirit, that's weird because I was thinking when this popped up, because I've had so many clips from Factory Girl and the opening scene of that movie. And then there's sometimes I forget that not everyone's making the same connections as me. And then there is there's another song on the playlist with Edie. And the opening line is like, "An angel with a broken wing." These cheesy YouTube videos, which I kind of love. For broken wing or broken spirit, the healing process begins with a bond of caring and comfort. Let a kind word or gentle touch offer assurance that you are there and the other is not alone. A pure white dove is held in a nurturing manner by a caring woman dressed in a deep, vibrant red. The red of her clothing and headdress bring to mind the color of her first chakra, Ladahara, chakra associated with self-preservation. This is a card about caring, so maybe you're feeling like you want to open up, you want to either cross the threshold, you want to take the next move, you want to move forward with something, but again, maybe you're just scared that, or have your defenses up a bit. So we talked about military defenses, self-preservation. Maybe you're someone who feels things deeply and you just need to know if you can trust someone before you can, if you feel something deeply, it's about, it's kind of, the things that affect you more strongly. And so maybe knowing that you're a little bit more wary of letting people in, but so that might be what it's talking about too. Cancer again is like that protective energy, and so maybe you just have some sort of mask defense, something up, and this is about offering comfort, healing, caring. And so maybe I don't want to say it's safe to completely open up to someone, or I don't know your situation. And then these other cards, the fox and the sky, popped out, so that could also just be talking to your fears and the things that you are afraid of happening that aren't actually a reality or aren't actually going to happen. That it could have happened in the past too, that led up to things that led up to this point. There's a harsh breakup or something like that, but really this is talking about maybe someone is coming into your life that is bringing that sort of caring, healing, and you just kind of have to, you can think about tarot readings as really more so of a reflection of what's going on in your mind. So then it's presented to you and you can question it and you can ask yourself, does that apply? Does it not? How does it apply to that? You can think about it, and showing you a reflection of what's going on in your mind and your heart, and even if you're not aware of it too, because this can also talk about subconscious and dreams and things like that. So maybe something also is being brought to your attention, and with the scythe and the fox, or it's reminding you of that, and so you're just a little bit unsure. Like, he has his sturdy little island and it's surrounded by waves, but so he feels really safe there. And it's, familiar. I feel like he's been there for a while, and he's fine. He's just having his little, it's kind of like a raft too. It almost looks like he's like about to put his toe in the water. So you're dipping your toe in something, feeling it out, and feeling your way through something. Because this did pop out upright, so maybe your feelings are, strong and real, and just want to say sturdy. For some reason, feelings aren't sturdy, but like, he has this little fish chain there. I always think it's cute. And this fish in the background looks really happy. It reminds me of that. If you've followed along for a long time, it reminds me of the little fish that childhood drawing that I showed in a video. And Venus, it was by the Venus and Scorpios. So again, maybe that's just that like little bit of that little sign that you need, that something popping out of the water to bring you some information. This coming up to the surface, finding some fresh air or something. Sky and water. I also kind of get the feeling like this guy is in love, but feels strongly about something. Feels like he, won something. I don't know. Maybe he's like spied what he wants, and it's there. He's just a little bit like, well, if this doesn't work out, like, last try, or something like that. So maybe that's what's kind of, making you hesitate, or take a minute and think about things. But this also talks about just like all this experience, and I think I mentioned that before, and like all this new growth that you can learn from and things like that. So I'll finish this. Self-preservation. So what does that mean to you? What does that, what do you do for self-preservation? What actions do you take? What walls do you put up? What sorts of things do you need in your daily life to keep yourself going? Just try to think about things like that. And maybe there's some like wiggle room, like maybe you don't actually need to be too worried about something like the 9 of Wands here, in terms of self-preservation. This is a card about caring, whether you have a need to nurture your own soul with some quiet time or recreation, or there's someone who needs your help. This card shows that by doing everything you can to be well-grounded, you can be a nurturing spirit. Hold the object of your ministration lightly in your hand, lest, like a frightened bird, they fly beyond your power to heal. So again, just kind of gentle touch, ministrations. This one song just popped to mind. Cartel from like early 2000s. Minister, something with wings too. I'll put that below, and check out the playlists. That will probably be a bit short because I've made a very long playlist that you can check out. That's up right now, and overwhelm you guys. So yeah, but check out the playlist if you have time. And I kind of just wanted to pull one card from here for like color inspiration, or just because these are really long and almost like devotionals, but I like the images, so just wanted to pull one. Maybe people need some last minute inspiration or confirmation of something. Let's see. Any last words? Last words. The Lover and the Beloved. 35. Kind of looks a lot like the Ace of Cups. What did I pull out before? I was deciding which decks to use, and another card popped out that said, oh, it was from the Angel Oracle deck, and it was Beloved, loved. So 35-8, again, that's like the Strength card, or Justice in some decks, and just very romantic, and just feel like they grew up. Like the kids here, and they came back together. It reminds me of like Wuthering Heights. Now I want to read the little intro card. Just turn to the all-encompassing hand. 35. It always has little poems, and so I'll read that. When you move beyond consciousness, you caress the beloved. When you move into the unknown, beyond everything, the beloved caresses you. Let's read this one little thing here, and then we'll be done. It is not enough to love me. I want you to allow me to love you. This is like from Rumi's perspective. It is not enough to desire me, to want to be closer to me. I want to reach out to you and grab hold of you, drawing you into me and never letting you be apart from me again. There's so much more for us to experience, you and me, than simply gazing. All these cards about gazing, and even with love, at each other from a distance. Let me take you into my arms. Let me hold you until we cease to know or care where you and I once were. I cannot read right now. It's so dark. Blah, blah, blah. Let me hold you until we cease to know or care where you and I once were. You and I, for instead we'll be one. Will you allow it? Will you allow me? Will you allow us to be? So maybe also there's something having to do with distance, and all these cards that kind of looks like composite image, like they are at a distance, and they're, and you talk about driving, travel, talk about routes and things like that. So, with the Ace of Cups, and maybe you're driving to give someone make some sort of grand gesture or something like that. All these success cards, though, victory also, and some sort of offer too sometimes with the Page of Pentacles. He's usually holding something up, so you might be trying to offer some kind words, or maybe an apology or something like that. Something that has to do with emotional nature, probably to someone that you care a lot about. I did mention love before, and this probably, or this, it's similar, at least with that opening poem, to the Lover's card, which again is number 6, and they are usually at a distance. So it's maybe admiring someone from a distance, wanting to bring it together, get together, be next to them, be in person. They're really close here, so did mention love and just kind of wondering if that's the right thing to do, maybe. Not wanting to go through what you've been through before. That just fell the fox. And just being a little bit protective maybe of your heart, of this turning into a love reading. Maybe I'm transitioning into the love portion of this reading. But in the 12th house, talking about things that are also a little bit of mystery to you. So maybe someone also is showing you or giving you some advice with the Six of Pentacles and showing you like how they need to be, what they need from you. And so that there's that like healthy give and take and balance, and again, maybe like protective of each other or something like that. And Venus, love, maybe you're protective of the things that like creativity and your art and your work, and protective of your relationship. 12th house though also, besides like mysteries, I mean, it is the mysteries of the universe kind of area. It's the things that are completely just over your head that you others might know, but you know, it's just kind of one of those things that are a mystery to you. So maybe it's this person that we're talking about, or love or something. Maybe you are interested in like a mysterious type of love, or the mystery, figuring out the mystery, figuring out something. And also Cancer, and I think the home was mentioned in one of the Pixie cards, I think. Cancer has to do with the home. 4th house, so it's your feelings and attitudes from the past, and intuition to protect. So maybe you're just using your intuition. I think of Jupiter and like the rods, and fire energy in general is very intuitive. It's the knowing, it's the claircognizance, it's that knowing feeling. So maybe you're using your intuition, combining your water, fire energies to know what is the best thing to do. And like going after love can't, you know, like at least you're pursuing the right direction, you know, the attraction and pleasure and things like that. The sixes are pleasure and taking care of others. I know a lot about six life path, which is about that. It's like helping people, just being, you know, not necessarily in the home, but you could, you know, love your home. But just about, yeah, recognizing and paying attention to what others may or may not be saying, but what they need, and you know, body language, things like that too, I think of. So, and then trying to do what you can to provide that, whether they know it comes from you or not, but like, just, you know, it's about doing that for everyone, and as much as you can, and giving back what you can, and giving out what you can, and just needing to, you know, have that good flow of like what you give out, you get back, or what you give out in some way. It's not always going to be the same way, but in some way, the universe gives back, you know, I want to say like tenfold or something, like for the amount or the sincerity, I want to say like sincerity in your actions of giving, and like where are you giving, like are you really truly doing it for the right reasons kind of thing. And based on that, you know, blessings, universe, karma, all that. But if you're giving a lot of yourself, you need to also then receive back to refuel so that you can continue to give. And yeah, so again, with the Cancer and the nurturing sixes and all of that, just feeling like, you know, maybe you need to take some better care of yourself, or take some time, think about things, but take care of yourself. And I think it's saying know that you are loved with the beloved and beloved lover cards, and the victory, if maybe you're wondering about something like that, and the Ace of Cups, which is a brand new beginning, a really fresh new start that is exciting and just lovely, beautiful. And Venus and all these things. So there's a lot of success and things to look forward to, and you may need to give something up in order to, oh, like again, offering or like giving something up in order to, that quote that I've used a ton, that a wise man is one that gives up what he cannot keep in order to keep what he cannot lose. So knowing priorities also, and that can also have a lot to do with the sixth house and priorities, responsibilities, daily life kind of things. So just having a good handle on your priorities and your what's really important to you and going after it, because there's no point in standing still, I guess. So, and I picked that up in the cards on the bottom. So anyways, I hope that this was helpful for you and you enjoyed the reading. Thanks for watching, and check out the playlist below, the other playlist that I have up, and the love portion of this reading, which I'll probably try to keep a little bit shorter. But all right, so have a great weekend. Bye.